Do-do-do. Da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da. Do-do-do-do. Hey everyone. It's going to be a late night stream tonight. It's about 10:13. Whoa. Pretty late. But I wanted to stop in and jump on. We'll probably only be on for about an hour. Had a pretty busy Friday. Had to attend a dinner. And now we are in Central Park at night. So we'll wait for some folks to jump in here and we'll get started. But wishing all of you a happy Friday and a wonderful weekend. Now I just walked into the park. Feels like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 degrees cooler just inside the park. It's definitely an interesting contrast for sure. You have the beautiful 15 Central Park West, and the city is rocking. The city is on fire this week, Friday, the whole weekend for the United Nations. And if you look to the north, this building, and it's really not common to see massive skyscrapers on the Upper West Side, but Extel is putting on a brand new development on 65th Street, I believe, which is going to be awesome. So that's almost done. Here we have the horse and carriages here. So before we officially get started, we'll just do the quick audio and visual check.
All around the park, 6.4 miles, 843 acres. Most field location in the world, guys, Central Park.
You can hear us, and if we're streaming in 1080p, just give a thumbs up in the chat and we'll get started. Once again, happy Friday. TGIF. Now you could really tell everyone's in the city, you know, for the UN, United Nations. I mean, look at all the lights on at Central Park Tower. I mean, pretty much everybody's home, right? These kind of buildings on Billionaires Row. So I'm talking about, you know, 220 Central Park South, Central Park Tower, 157 Steinway. Usually those buildings are used as a pied-à-terre or an investment. So there's really not many people home all the time, but for major events like we have going on this week, lots of people home. Same thing at 15 Central Park West and the Trump International Hotel and Tower. So it is UN weekend, and I got a piece of intel from one of my buddies who works at the Park Hyatt. They are 100% occupied. So you can't even get a room at the Park Hyatt if you wanted to this weekend. And the President of the United States, Joe Biden, will be checking in the Essex House, I believe, on Sunday night. For whatever reason, Joe Biden always, I think he always stays at the Essex House. pretty good choice. Really like that hotel. It's New York City Art Deco classic. I would describe the Essex House. A New York City Art Deco classic, my friends. So let's do a quick loop around the Essex House, Central Park South, the Park Hyatt. You're going to see a lot of police barricades, police presence. Here's two NYPD officers here. And it's about 10:17 p.m. and there's still a lot of people out. So you're going to really feel the energy of the city tonight. Let's see who we have in the audience as I wait for the light. I see Alan says, I'm exhausted, busy day. Yeah, I think this week was extremely busy for many people. Good to see you, Alan. Carl Roth says Biden needs a weekend in New York City for the markets. Cheers, Alan. Cynthia Ava is here. John R. says, have you been down to the Little Italy or to Little Italy for the feast? I actually have not. I have not. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. This year I've completely missed the San Gennaro's feast, completely. I guess there's still 2 more days left. William Foley, good to see you. I think I saw Western Mass Dave here. Happy Friday, Dave. Vincent, happy Friday to you. Jafet Perez, all of our moderators, Sally, David, C-City, Larry Adams, Lance, Learn, Grow, Heal, Thrive, Austin City Limits, Combat Jones. Tons of activity outside the New York Athletic Club too. It's absolutely packed. This is a beautiful building. Now, if you're into bird watching, early summer, apparently that's when a lot of the hawks migrate to Central Park, and they perch on top a lot of the balconies here, and you could watch them dive bomb a lot of the squirrels and the rats and things in Central Park. It's kind of crazy. You usually see photographers lined all up and down Central Park South. It's quite cool. It's actually pretty cool. I was watching that earlier this summer. We'll go ahead and check out the Essex House. Hey, Pops is here. Says, I love the walk in front of Central Park. I do as well. Jafet Perez says, Bitcoin 64,000. You're right. And also we have some major news, not only out of the digital gold space, but the physical gold space as well. Gold today hit a new all-time record high, closing above $2,600 an ounce for the first time in history. So physical gold is doing fantastic. Digital gold is catching quite a nice bid. And I think that is very reminiscent of the times. Right, we got a 50 basis point rate cut from the Federal Reserve. I think they went a little bit too big. To me, that's sending a signal to the market that we're going to get more of the same. Right? We'll probably have easy money policies return in perpetuity. In which case, most of the time, that is number one, inflationary. Right? Debases the currency. But also, it's good for asset prices. Hey, Laytha. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to Central Park South here in Manhattan. Oh, by the way, I forgot to let you know, I did just email everybody. So there's going to be a few changes, which I think I'll announce now, but usually every other Thursday is when we email our free investing newsletter to the group. I couldn't do it this Thursday. I had to do it today. But going forward, it's going to be as normal. So every other Thursday, you'll get the investing newsletter directly to your email box. And not next week, but the week after, we're going to include our video component. So I have everything set up. I think you guys are going to like it. And I'm already starting to plan for 2025. And let's just say there's going to be some big things, which I think you're going to like. We're going to include an interview component at the end of the newsletter. We're going to have some prominent figures on Wall Street, many of which you probably watch oftentimes on CNBC and the like. And it's going to be mainly trading focused, which will help a lot of people. So look out for that. Check your emails today, because I sent out the Behind the Street newsletter roughly at, I think, 6:15, maybe 6:30. It's a short, sweet newsletter, but it really puts everything into perspective, particularly focusing on historical S&P 500 returns after the first cut. So historical S&P 500 returns after the first rate cut. Hey, look at this. This sounds like some interesting and cool changes are afoot. I'm very excited. I think you guys will appreciate it. Joe says, Tom, best hotel to stay in by Penn Station without spending $500 to $600 a night. By Penn Station, I would say there's literally one right across the street from the Moynihan Train Hall. I think it's a Marriott, but I forget what it's called. I think it's Marriott something, or like Hilton Garden Inn. There is the New Yorker Hotel, which I'm not a fan of. I think it's quite old and, quite frank, a little dirty, but that you're not going to spend $600 a night. Maybe you can get something in maybe the 300s, but that's kind of what I would recommend by Penn Station for sure. Joseph Hardaway, cheers. Combat Jones is the first cut, is the deepest. Sheryl Crow, 2004. It's wild that song came out in 2004. Brad's Brain, cheers. What's going on? Right across the street is the Ritz-Carlton, 50 Central Park South. Now, in the newsletter, I included an interesting infographic, which I think you'd all appreciate. So I'll go ahead and pull that up right now. But the narrative, right, on Main Street and what really gets all the clicks, right, if you've watched a YouTube video on the markets or any of the big articles that come out that specifically talk about monetary policy, it's always that the market, it's always the narrative that the market tends to roll over after the first rate cut, right? So once the Federal Reserve starts to cut rates, that's when the stock market historically tends to do very poorly. But that's actually not entirely true. What I like to say is that's what you call cherry-picking data, in my view. Now, if anyone has taken a data science course, really one of the most important things about data science is if you're trying to draw a conclusion from too small or too narrow of a data set, the conclusions, quite frankly, mean nothing, right? What you want to do is you want to expand your data set as much as possible to draw the most appropriate and accurate conclusion. So if you're only looking at 2 data points and you're trying to draw a conclusion from that, your conclusions don't really mean much. So I want to show you this infographic, credit to Charles Schwab. Now this is S&P 500 returns 12 months after the first rate cut. Now, it's very convenient that the majority of people say, hey, let's refer to the 2008 financial crisis and let's refer to the tech wreck of 2001. But if you expand that data set and go all the way back to November of 1929, actually, in fact, the vast majority of the time after the first rate cut, 12 months after, the market is overwhelmingly positive. There was only 2 times in history where 12 months after the first rate cut, the market was negative, and that was in January of 2001 and September of 2007, the Great Financial Crisis. Most recently, July of 2019, 12 months later, the market went on to rally 8.7%. So I think it's important to put it in perspective. So if you there's a lot of big channels out there on YouTube that I've been watching some of the videos that have kind of been spreading that narrative that the Fed cut rates, that means the market is going to fall apart and crash because it happened in 2007. Well, expand the data set a little bit more, right? And try to draw an appropriate conclusion from the expanded data. And when you do that, you actually find the opposite, right? You know, I think there's an old book that says you can really manipulate the data to form really any conclusion that you want, but the data shows that we just, you know, put up on the screen here, coming out of Charles Schwab, that rate cuts, generally speaking, are stock market positive. So let's continue to walk a little bit further down 6th, but I want to take you guys into the subway today. But if you want to receive our most recent newsletter, you can just type !news, NEWS in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to the Substack where you can click and receive it. Let's check out the underworld. Now this is the F train. The M train used to come here. What's up, Tom, AK? So here you have the F train, Jamaica 179th Street, or Stillwell Avenue. Michael G, what's up? It's great to see the subway. Yeah, and a lot of these stations are under construction. We'll walk all the way to the end. There's actually a hack that I tend to do if it's raining out and you kind of get stuck without an umbrella. You can walk 4 blocks underground and across the other side of the avenue. So if you ever forget your umbrella, you can kind of do that too. Hey, Black Ribbon, what's up? Thanks for joining us. And these are the new Omni Tap. Storm Rider says it's been a decade since I walked corridor. Yeah. Good to see you, Storm Rider. Cowslaw, happy Friday night to you too. This is going to take us all the way to 56th and 6th on the southernmost quarter. NBA Elias, cheers to you. Thanks for joining us. We have some fare evaders here. 2 nice gentlemen. Hey, Elliott Wave Review, trust you're well. We were just talking about the historical performance of the S&P 12 months after the first rate cut. And in only 2 instances since 1929 did the market return a negative return since 1929. So it's actually looking quite bullish. I know Alan says, dang, Tom caught them in 1080p. I mean, not to sound like a complainer, but I think I put this on Twitter or on my X profile. This is no exaggeration, but I honestly really do feel like a sucker every time I walk into the subway and I pay my fare, because especially during the day when people are trying to commute to work, everyone jumps it. There's at least 4 to 5 people that are, you know, it's like they're in the Olympics doing hurdles over the turnstile. Nobody pays it. Absolutely nobody pays it. And the MTA wonders why they're broke. And it's just nobody pays the fare. It's kind of crazy. Now, when I was in Korea, it was crazy because they don't really have turnstiles there. It's just open. And you're just supposed to tap and it turns green and you could walk through the gates. If they had that here in New York City, oh my God, nobody would pay. But the culture is just so different over there in Korea that nobody steals. Nobody goes through the turnstile. It's the craziest thing. It was really an eye-opening experience. Ooh, that guy almost got hit on his bike. I know, NBA Elias, Japan and Korea have little crime. Virtually none. Here's a shot of 432 Park. Kevin says, how much graffiti did I see in Korea? That guy gave us a little quick finger. I appreciate that. None, pretty much. However, there was some in this one town, but I forget the name of the town, but that's what the town is known for. It's known for like artsy things, kind of like a Wynwood, Miami, or like a Greenpoint, Brooklyn. So it's not graffiti that's done by like derelicts. It's graffiti done by like artists and, you know, people not trying to vandalize things. So was kind of one of the main differences there. But yeah, very clean country, Korea. Very, very clean, very, very law and order. And I think it stems culturally. I think it's a cultural thing. Because people really, at least from the impression that I got, is they just have respect for other people, I feel. They really value the perception of, you know, like respecting other people's property, so to speak. It was a very nice experience, for sure. This is the front entrance of 53 West 53rd. Great building here. If we cross the street, we do a little jaywalk action, you'll be able to see the pool inside the building, which is quite cool. This is the steakhouse. This is the first time I've seen people eating here, actually. Usually it's kind of dead, this steakhouse, but it's a very busy week in Manhattan. So you can see it. If you look really closely, this is the main, I think it's a saltwater pool that is in 53 West 53rd. Very unique design. Lots of angular cuts and the like. Hey, Joe C., good to see you. New England Crypto, welcome. Now, one of the main things that I wrote about today in the newsletter is the potential of us to return back to the old normal of ZIRP, right? Zero interest rate policy, when we had essentially a decade of zero interest rates, and how that led to what I believe is the broadening out of the wealth gap in America, right? The divide between the super, super rich, like the top 10%, ultra high net worth, and really everyone else. There was a Business Insider article that came out that I believe says, as of June 2024, the top 1% now controls 90% of all US stocks, which is crazy. And if you think about the stock market performance from the lows of 2008 up until really 2020, right, when we had the big inflation, we kind of had a reverse course on ZIRP, it's pretty much been up in a straight line. Now we get a 50 basis point rate cut, and Fed Chair Jerome Powell comes off more dovish than usual. It's looking like we may just return to business as usual of ZIRP. Maybe we have another decade of ZIRP, who knows? And I think it could potentially be more of the same, where we have runaway inflation, I'm using air quotes, not necessarily in the CPI, right, the Consumer Price Index, but runaway inflation in asset prices, such as stocks, real estate assets, and the like. So, in conclusion, if I had to, put this very frankly, if this is true, that we are going to return to a Fed funds rate, let's say in a year from now, of 2%, maybe 2%, 2.5%, then I suspect that you're probably going to see a repeat of the last decade, where you had runaway, rip-roaring bull markets, which I think is going to be exacerbated by AI. It's almost kind of like a magic elixir, which is good in a way and bad in others. I used just a few very specific examples, one of which I took a little excerpt from the Dollar General earnings report, where the CEO said specifically, I can actually pull up the exact quote here. Let me read the quote for you. So this is the Dollar General CEO. He says, "We believe softer sales trends are partially attributed to a core customer who feels financially constrained." And Dollar General stock is down almost 70% from its all-time high. Down almost 70%. Now compare that to something, so I'll quickly show you the chart here at Dollar General. This is coming right out of the newsletter. That's the quote. Compare to look at something like Ferrari, right? Where an excerpt of the CEO of Ferrari says the record 2023 results, the ambitions that we have on 2024, together with the exceptional visibility on our order book, allow us to look at the high end of 2026 targets with stronger confidence. So they're expecting more orders, more sales of luxury products like Ferraris going into 2026. When you have the extreme other end of the spectrum, like Dollar Tree, dollar store shoppers, can't even come up with the money to spend at the dollar store. So the point I'm trying to make is, if the Fed gets really, really aggressive and just continues to cut, and we go back to ZIRP, you could expect more of the same, where you're going to have opportunities to get really, 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 really wealthy. But the problem is the share of people that control that wealth is going to continue to get smaller and smaller and smaller, as the data has shown. I don't know, any thoughts on that? And let me know if the stream is buffering. We should be getting, we probably shouldn't have good service throughout the remainder of the weekend into next week because of this UN event. Lots of nice vehicles here too. I think that's a Maybach and Tesla Cybertruck. Hey, what's up, Vincent? Good to see you. Peters' Bernard Arnault is now the 5th wealthiest at his LVMH stock. Has fallen by at least 18% this year. Yeah, and last year it was one of the top performing stocks in the market. I think LVMH here, I don't buy stocks in a downtrend, but I think it's just going through a correction and a longer bull trend. If you look at the previous earnings reports, every single segment of LVMH business grew sales except the alcohol business. And I think that's due to broader trends that young and just people in general, sales in every single segment of the business at LVMH. Now, speaking of luxury goods, luxury items, there's actually been a significant depression in the prices of luxury watches, like Rolexes, Patek Philippe, and the like. That's mainly still after that big blow off we had in the crypto market and high beta tech stocks in 2021. So if you're in the market, particularly this holiday season, for a Rolex or like a luxury watch, I think it's actually probably a pretty savvy buy now. You can probably get a Rolex on the secondary market for significant discounts. Hey, Daniel G from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Always a pleasure to have you. Hopefully you're doing well over there. And hopefully you're getting better. I think the last time we connected, you had some sort of a medical episode. So hopefully you're regaining strength and getting stronger by the day. And hopefully you'll make your way over to New York City quite soon. This is an interesting comment. Let me read this comment. This is by Forward Go. It says, I live near a dollar store. The manager is a friend there. There are a lot of shoplifting. When she calls corporate, they tell her there is no shoplifting. That's also another thing that kind of is insulated by, the top luxury brands. Because these top luxury brands have the security and the money to pay for high-end security, and they have the margins to do it too. Dollar stores, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, they're running on extremely thin margins. But if you think about the margins on LVMH, their line of products, the margins are massive. Now, I don't shop at any of those stores. I'm not like a big luxury kind of guy, but I have noticed that in both New York City and Miami, particularly Miami's design district, I don't even think you can go into a Gucci store or a Louis Vuitton store and just go shopping. I think you have to make an appointment to physically go into the store to go shopping, or they won't let you in. So I think that cuts down on most of the theft, in my view. And that's also probably another reason why, what I believe, in 10 years, you'll probably have almost no drugstores. Walgreens will probably be out of business by then. I think, maybe a bold prediction, but I think Walgreens is going to be a zero. I think that company is going to go out of business entirely, and you're going to have an Amazonification of everything. So maybe a good pair trade would be short the hell out of Walgreens, because that is a complete dog of a company, and they're going to get shoplifted out of business. And you go along Amazon because e-commerce is the future, and you get exposure to AI plays with owning the infrastructure of Amazon AWS. So, again, it may, what I'm saying is I'm not saying I want this to happen, but I'm just being observant. I'm just being observant. Let's actually see where Amazon closed today. I think we're almost a few points away from a new all-time record high in Amazon. And if you think about the new technologies that's going to drive much of our GDP growth over the next 5 years, it's going to be AI, it's going to be data center, it's going to be e-commerce. Amazon hits on all three of those. All right, ticker symbol AMZN. Let's see.
That girl, outrageous thing, but she can't see.
Yeah, look at this. So Amazon is forming a almost near perfect cup with handle. You have the cup, the handle, and this is probably going to punch through new all-time record highs. What's the ticker symbol for Walgreens? WBA, I think. Let me see, WBA, that should be Walgreens. Let's see. Yeah, this is going out. So there's your proof in the pudding there. So not only do these stores get shoplifted to death, but the customer experience when you go in these stores and try to shop is so abysmal that it literally forces people to shop at Amazon. So if you have the mental fortitude to, fight through all the shoplifters at CVS and Walgreens, as you're watching everybody loot the store, you see everything behind glass encasement. So if you want to buy a toothbrush, you got to click the button and wait 20 minutes for a clerk or a store associate to come on and unlock your goods and services for you. So people are just going to order things off of Amazon, which is what I do. Very, very seldom do I ever go into a CVS, Walgreens, Duane Reade anymore, just because it's not worth it. Now, this may be different in your neck of the woods, but in my neck of the woods, living in a major city like New York or Miami, it's almost made the shopping experience inoperable. It's deemed it totally impossible to operate. So, anybody have any disagreements with that? Man, I can't stand these pedicab guys. These guys are just terrible. This is an awesome shot of the Empire State Building here. I know the four lawns is horrible noise. It's just, it just is gross. Not to sound like a complainer, but it's really just, I can't deal with the pedicab guys because they all blast the music and they all blast different music. It's just like a concoction of just absolute nonsense. I don't understand how anybody would feel like they would want to get in that thing, especially when they're blasting the music. Days Works, I just recently noticed that Walgreens is never busy in the past year. Well, a lot of the pharmacy is going to go online too. Amazon acquired PillPack. So you could probably get all your drugs. I think Mark Cuban is working on a pharmaceutical startup, Cost Plus Drugs, where you can order, your prescriptions online. Again, I don't have any experience with this company, but I think that's what it's called. And that's the future of pharma. I think gone are the days where you're going to be actually physically going into a place to refill your prescription. You're just going to be able to do it online. And, Amazon will send it to you, Cost Plus Drugs will send it to you. It's just a lot easier. A lot easier. This Cuban has his site up and running already, I believe. Let's see if we can take a quick stroll through Bryant Park. This is a beautiful shot of One Vanderbilt. Look at how amazing that looks. Steph UF is what will happen to pharmacists. I come from a family of them. I think pharmacists I don't think will go away. I just think the medium of transaction will change, right? There'll probably be a lot less like customer face-to-face stuff and more remote. So maybe you could do like a telehealth call with your patient or with the customer if they have a question on their prescription or something. Instead of actually physically going to the store and asking the pharmacist, you could, FaceTime them by calling this number. The pharmacist is working from the distribution center and they could get on a Zoom call and, sit down, spend 10, 20 minutes answering your question. I think it's just going to look a lot different. I don't think it's going to be the end of pharmacists at all. I just think the medium of exchange is going to change in a major way. That's kind of my take. Now, it doesn't mean I'm right, it doesn't mean I'm wrong, but that's kind of how I foresee the industry changing. Danny says, hey Tom, did you start out by paying your dues as an auditor for one of the big four auditing companies like KPMG? I did not. I don't have the pedigree and I'm not smart enough to get a job at those companies. I went right into tech sales. So my background is working my way as an account executive, in which case I worked my way up to director of enterprise sales. So my most recent company, before kind of moving into the real estate business, we were the fastest growing MSP in America, and I ran the entire Northeast. So from essentially Philly all the way up through Maine was my territory. The company was called Hyperion, and I ran all enterprise sales for our division, which was a really, really great business, which is arguably, in my view, the best business to get into, is selling a product to Fortune 500, Fortune 50 companies on a reoccurring basis. So sell them, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million contract that is reoccurring annually. I think that's why a lot of these SaaS companies and enterprise software companies have performed so well over the last 10 years, because Wall Street likes the predictability of revenue, right? Instead of old legacy software where you just buy the license once, now everything is a subscription. So if you can bring in $100 million worth of revenue, that's annually reoccurring, right, ARR, and let's say if you have a less than 1% churn rate or whatever it is, it's very easy to assign a multiple to that company because you know they're going to ring the register every single month, every single year. That's why software tech has been just such a good business. A subscription reoccurring revenue model is, in my view, the best business. And that's why you have seen pretty much everybody change over to that style, like a Netflix style and the like. You're starting to even see some major food companies try to get people to pay a monthly fee for things like monthly coffee subscriptions, because reoccurring revenue is very, very important. Man, Bryant Park looks beautiful tonight. NBA Alliance is Tom, will the medium of exchange potentially lower drug prices? PBMs are the problem in that industry. I'm not too sure, mainly because I'm not really well versed in pharma that much, frankly put. It's not really my background. I know there's a lot at play, but it should drive down costs. Anytime you make an industry more efficient, generally speaking, it should drive down costs. Maybe we have someone who is in the pharma industry or in the drug making business that could advise on that. I'd be very curious to know your thoughts. Octanes as Netflix revolutionized the reoccurring model. I actually attribute to this building right here, Salesforce, Benioff. I really, really give him the credit for the SaaS style subscription model. Kathleen says there will always be needs for meds to treat acute illnesses. Small pharmacies locate within or next to the ER. It's a good data point. And this is, I think Kathleen is in that industry, right? She's in the medical field. So if there's anyone that knows what she's talking about, it's probably her. Funky Child to Salesforce, definitely. And another thing is it's such a high margin business. So if you're a college kid, right? Bryant Park's closed, we gotta exit. We'll make a left here and exit the park. But generally speaking, if you're looking for like a lucrative business to go into, scour the market and say, okay, what has the highest gross margin and the highest predictability in revenue? Oops. I gotta turn off this. My friend made me download this app, the Citizen app, and I constantly get notifications on it. I think I'm going to delete it. Anyway, because the Citizen app is like, someone got slashed, someone got shot, someone got their wallet stolen. And it's so overwhelming, the amount that it happens in the city, that it's like, my phone is inoperable. So I'll have to delete that. Anyway. But yeah, look for very, very high margin businesses, and software is extremely high margin. I know, Lathes, the Citizen is a sky is falling app. It really is. This is actually a little bit of a library here. I sometimes like coming here to watch the people play ping pong. Another good spot to do that is Herald Square, just south of Macy's.
Go check. You can go check.
All right, so we're exiting on the corner of 42nd Street and Avenue of the Americas. This corner is actually pretty good to watch the ball drop on New Year's because it looks directly at One Times Square, which is quite nice. nobody's here. What's up? Thanks for joining. Lemonades, as I'm glad it's the weekend. I am too, but I think it's going to be pretty busy this weekend in New York. But the city is definitely very lively.
Büyük ihtimalle şey yaparız.
We'll go by the Bank of China and then loop around and go back up. Hey, John Sunderland, what's going on? Good to see you as always. That's true. Western Mass Dave. I was just thinking about that today. It's only a matter of time before we're standing right outside of Saks Fifth Avenue watching the holiday light display. That's coming up pretty soon. It's almost October. It's crazy. September, it's like September didn't even exist. It just came and went. Wild. Wild, wild.
Pension, forget about it.
That guy was really excited about his pension. Mike Skate TV. Pleasure. Happy conclusion of the Fed week. And also brand new all-time record highs for gold. $2,600 an ounce. Higher. I think $26.27 an ounce of gold. Pretty soon we'll be talking about that big round number 3,000 an ounce on gold. I'm sure we'll get there soon enough. Because that's a big Livermore round number, right? We broke out past 2,500. Took us 2 weeks to get to 2,600. It's quite possible, and it is doable. Maybe we have Q1 2025. We're looking at $3,000 an ounce for gold. Very possible. We'll cross over to Broadway. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Hey, Tariq Khan, what's up? Long time no see. I hope you're doing well. I'm sure you had a busy week with the Fed cutting 50 basis points. Gold and Bitcoin ripping. If you're just joining, I also sent out our free investing newsletter. So check your email for the Behind the Street newsletter. Should be in your inbox as of roughly 7:30-ish, I think, Eastern time. Dale, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, what's up, Patrice? Thanks so much for reading. Now, this little strip of Broadway has been a real hotspot over the last 2 weeks. There's been a lot of kind of violent events that have happened over the last 2 weeks, right on this little kind of cul-de-sac here for whatever reason. I saw something on News Channel 7 2 days ago that there was a big kind of clash between the African migrants and the Venezuelan migrants. They're throwing chairs, tables at each other. It was like a big powwow over here. Maybe a little turf war here by Joe's Pizza. All right, let's cross over to 8th Avenue. That's why they posted up these two NYPD cops here that are quite diligently playing Tetris or something on their phones. Let's see how long the line is for Joe's tonight. Hey, spooky muddlers, I've learned a lot just by listening to you and reading your weekly email. Thank you so much. Thanks for the support. It does mean a lot. And I appreciate your viewership. And I'm glad you're enjoying these streams. Wow, look at the line for Joe's. Holy crap. It goes all the way around the block and it wraps around the corner to the Times Square subway entrance. That's crazy. I wonder, I think I mentioned this before, but I wonder what the average daily revenue is for Joe's. If you had to guess, what would you guess? What do you think the average daily revenue is at Joe's Pizza? Had to be in the tens of thousands, right? Especially on a busy night like Friday night or Saturday night, they probably rake it in. But they're probably on some sort of a graduated lease where their rent goes up in proportion of the revenue they bring in. Again, I don't know that for a fact, but I mean, this place is really, really good. I mean, look at how many people there are here. John's is 10K at least. Mark Francis is 52,000. I mean, definitely around football season, for sure, maybe in the 50s, right? I mean, if you're ordering a ton of stuff for like pies for Super Bowl party or something, or just Sunday night football, I could definitely see how it could get up that high. I mean, look at all the pizza boxes. So these pizza boxes, everyone, is just from people eating here. This doesn't even take into account people that are using takeout. So it's a lot. Crazy, right? Well, I'm glad they're doing good. Business seems to be booming. So that's good news. I don't know. Peter says what is mostly sold, slices or entire pies? I don't know what's mostly sold, but I would say the to-go customers is probably mostly slices. I think the location by Fulton Street is better than this one. And there's really there's very, very seldom a long line outside of the one at Fulton Street. We're coming up on 7th Avenue by the Red Lobster, which, by the way, is officially coming out of bankruptcy. So, Red Lobster is no longer in Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection anymore, which is more good news for those Red Lobster fans. I haven't really done too much research on who the new ownership is, but it'll be interesting to see what they make of it.
minus 8th Avenue that way.
So that guy is riding his scooter the wrong way in the bike lane. I've seen so many crashes this year from people riding the wrong way in the bike lane. Brutal crashes. All right, we have the light so we can cross. This is going to take us under the New York Times building, which I think, is it the New York Times that's going under that? There's like some massive strike, or the writers, the journalists are threatening to go on strike for the election if their demands aren't met. I think that's the New York Times. The problem is the New York Times doesn't make any money. That's the problem. So it's kind of hard to ask for increased pay if your company is not making any money. Now, if you worked at Meta or something like that, and you wanted to ask Mark Zuckerberg for an extra, 60, 70 grand on your salary, yeah, he could probably do that. But at the New York Times, they don't make any money. So I don't know what's going to happen. Hey, Shadow Stock. Good to see ya. Yeah, the failing New York Times. I really think platforms like Substack, YouTube are just gonna dominate these legacy media companies. I mean, they're already doing it. Because the job of a journalist has essentially just been outsourced to individuals now. I mean, you don't need to pay a journalist $70,000 with medical benefits anymore when, just random people are doing it, posting it. You can make your own newspaper tomorrow. Post it on Substack. I mean, there's some Substack newsletters that have massive, pretty much 100% margin. One guy doing it, running an independent news firm, making millions, and doing the journalism himself. Like a decentralized journalistic future, I think we are going to have. Oh, I think that Tesla ran over something. Who knows? Stephen Bates' YouTube is making Alphabet lots of money. Indeed. Data Discovery says I write articles for free and some get picked up by Yahoo Finance for zero pay. Exactly. And by the way, you guys should check out Data Discovery. He is Shadow Stock on X. Very, very smart guy. He's one of my favorite accounts, and he's, hold on, Expected Values on X. Super smart guy. If you're interested in stocks, there are no bad assets, just bad prices. Check him out on his shadowstock.blogspot.com. I enjoy his account very much. All right, Port Authority. The beauty of the Port Authority bus terminal. Shadow Stock, what's your thoughts on Amazon? Before you joined, we were talking about well, in my view, I think you're going to have drugstores just obsolete. Walgreens is probably going to go out of business. They've made it, not only are these stores getting looted to death, but it's just the customer experience is so piss poor that it's forcing consumers to shop online. So everyone's just going to buy all their stuff on Amazon and get their drugs online. Amazon seems to be emerging out of a cup with handle base. I think it's going to hit new all-time record highs for the next 2 weeks. And not only do you have exposure to an e-commerce giant, but you have exposure to an AI play with Amazon AWS, infrastructure play. So the theme, I think you want to have exposure to e-commerce, cloud computing, the future, and look at Walgreens stock. I think it's like a $12 stock, maybe even a single-digit stock now. Data discovery says CVS is horrific. I still go to CVS on Long Island. NBA Elias is easier to shop at a flea market than shop at Walgreens. Now what's really, and here's kind of like an interesting thought here. Because when you think about like a company like Amazon, it's really, really demonized by the left. Look at these guys, little Coke, little 8-ball here. It's really, really demonized by left-leaning politicians, right? They want to encourage brick and mortar businesses, small mom and pop shops, but their policies, right, essentially decriminalizing theft. If you steal less than $500, it's pretty much a slap on the wrist. That's the reason why these stores need to lock everything up behind the glass. So inadvertently, they're policies that are meant to help, small businesses and brick and mortar. It's actually forcing them to shutter and forcing everyone into the hands of the corporate elitist at Amazon. It's very strange, but it's the truth. Just look at the difference in the stock price. So if those policies don't change, I'm afraid in some of the lower income communities, you're not going to have any stores. It just won't be profitable to operate there. And you're just going to have, Andy Jassy and Jeff Bezos buying, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 super yachts and jets a year just from the windfalls they're making. It's kind of not a good future to think about, to be honest. Like you want, communities to have access to stores and normalcy, not just have, King Bezos and King Andy Jassy. But that's just me. Stephen D says I paid $5.44 for a bottle of water. Well, I actually have you beat because I was at JFK Airport and I paid, I think, $7.90 for a bottle of Smart Water. So I think I win that competition. Crazy to think about. $8 for water. Data discovery says yes, 100%. Stores are critical for the community. Agreed. Data discoveries is scared to think that the Magnificent Seven can't and won't be stopped. I think I agree with you, Shadow Stock, data discovery. And now these companies have gotten so powerful where they could just buy their competition. And that's kind of why, I always preach, I'm a, Bill O'Neill disciple, Investors Business Daily, How to Make Money in Stocks.
Long story short,
It's just continue to feed the winners. And historically, over time, it seems like these winners just continue to, as they get more stronger, the strength compounds on strength and compounds on strength. Nobody's displacing Amazon. Nobody's going to compete with Amazon. It's impossible. So you got to have exposure. You got to have exposure to them. Many people are complaining about the crowdedness in the S&P 500, right? The Magnificent Seven make up the vast majority of the S&P. I think that crowdedness is going to continue to accelerate to the upside, in my view. RB's smaller locally owned Ace Hardware franchises are beating big box Home Depot. Really? Well, that's good. Hustler Inc.'s dollar stores are also going out of business. Yeah, Hustlers Inc., if you check your email, I covered that in the newsletter I just sent out today. I pulled two very eerie excerpts from earnings reports of companies on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Number one, Dollar General, right? And number two, Ferrari. So the reason kind of why I wrote about that is because now that the Federal Reserve is cutting rates, I'm afraid we're going to go back to our long lost decade of ZIRP. Right here on the corner of West 46th Street, this is where you're going to have the Torch building by Extel, essentially right there. But the Dollar General, and I'll kind of pull it up right now. We covered this earlier in the live stream, but we have a lot of new people here. So Dollar General Corp is down almost 70% from its all-time record high. Here's a recent excerpt from the CEO. It says, "We believe the softer sales trends are partially attributed to a core customer who feels financially constrained." So their core customer base for the dollar store, right, cheap products, are financially constrained where they can't afford to shop at the dollar store. On the other end of the spectrum, you have Ferrari that sells $250,000 to $1 million cars. The stock is pretty much up and to the right. It's a cartoon chart, pretty much. And the CEO of Ferrari says, and I quote, "The record 2023 results, the ambitions that we have on 2024, together with the exceptional visibility on our order book, allow us to look at the high end of 2026 targets with stronger confidence." So there's more, essentially what he's saying is, when we look out into the future, and we look out into 2025 and 2026, he is increasingly more bullish on his high-end consumers continuing to buy all these luxury items. So again, the point I'm trying to make is not to say, okay, go long Ferrari or short Dollar General, or hey, Dollar General's probably undervalued now, go buy it. The point I'm trying to make, right, valuation aside, is you have this two-tier society that's been created by the Federal Reserve. And I'm afraid we're going to go back for a round two. As we cut interest rates to zero again, the wealth will continue to be accumulated to the top. You'll have Zuckerberg and all the big tech guys get 17, 18 more yachts, and you'll have more and more and more and more people, to use the Dollar General CEO's words, not mine, be financially constrained to not be able to afford to shop at the dollar store. So It's an interesting view, right? And that's why I always kind of repeat here that it's interesting that many people that are in Congress are kind of cheerleading this return to ZERP, return to easy money, cheap money, when they know that only a very, very small portion of the population has access to that liquidity, that has access to that money. This hotel is brand new and it's actually quite nice. It's affordable too. It's called the Kipton Theta Hotel. Joel PM says, I've always liked Ace, always so friendly and helpful when you get with the family-owned businesses. Data Discovery says Dollar General is undervalued in my opinion and is probably a great buy at today's prices. Layla says what hurt Dollar Tree is that their prices tripled and quadrupled on some products to $5 instead of $1 in the span of maybe 1.5 to 2 years. And they can't really have they don't really have pricing power because then it won't be the dollar store anymore, right? Maybe they could call it, maybe they could do a rebrand to 10 below instead of 5 below, $5 and below. Make everything like $10 and less or something like that. Now, another example would be luxury hospitality. You know, hospitality on the upper end of the spectrum, we talk about companies like Hyatt, ticker symbol H. They're doing really, really well. And if you talk about the I should say the flagship brands of Hyatt, I think it's like the Park Hyatt Andaz is another one. I think there's a few others, but whenever I listen to the earnings call, it's exceeding expectations. Consumer is very, very strong. And these are people that are able to afford, you know, $1,200 a night hotels. So when we think about and we talk about this, it's like not necessarily only from an investing standpoint, but if you want to start a business, if you want to start a company, you know, think about which customer base you want to go for. You want to go for the customer base, maybe start a business servicing the upper echelon of society, because you'll always have a super strong customer base, right? Even if you have a very, very steep recession. These fruits smell really good. It's like an air freshener to the neighborhood. It smells quite nice. Carl's Dollar General has also had issues with price gouging and other unethical business practices. I mean, I didn't hear about that, but I mean, how much price gouging can you do when you sell things for $1? I mean, how much could you gouge? But again, I haven't heard that, so I'll take your word for it. I mean, maybe they just need new management entirely. Also, you know, that was once a TML, that was once a leading stock. And sometimes stocks just go through dormancy. It's cyclical. Who knows, maybe Data Discovery is right. Maybe it's undervalued at these levels. Maybe they'll oust the CEO, maybe somebody new will come in, and maybe they'll turn it around. You never know. It's possible. Hey, NAV407, what's up? This is Tom. I'm late to the party tonight. I was the one who was late. I started the stream really late, which I apologize for, but it was a busy day. This week has been very busy. The city feels alive. Hotels are packed. We have the President of the United States arriving here at the Essex House on Sunday night. So if you're thinking about driving a car into the city, early in next week, I probably would advise against it. If you guys are enjoying the stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. And if you want to receive our free investing newsletter that I just sent out tonight, you could type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat and click the link to our Substack. Anyone doing anything fun this weekend? Anything interesting that we should know about? Any exciting events going on in your neck of the woods as we come up to the end of the stream here? This corner is where they have the soup Nazi. Oh, no way, Tatted Tease is moving my daughter into college. Well, that's kind of like positive and negative at the same time. It's positive because, you know, your daughter is super smart, super sharp, and probably was able to get into a really good college. So that's like the positive. But the negative, it's like, it's a new chapter, you know? The bird's leaving the nest. The soup kitchen. It's from Seinfeld's Soup Nazi episode. If you've ever seen Seinfeld. That's the original location where they filmed that episode. Wow, she's going to UC Irvine. Whoa. Damn, that's impressive. Congrats. That's awesome. She's gonna have a good time. Damn, to be a freshman in college again. Good times, good times. I remember when I was a freshman. I remember freshman year. When you're a freshman, you're just so excited to be out of the house. Steph and Dee, thank you for joining. All right, everyone. Well, I got to boogie on out of here. I did start the broadcast late, which I do apologize for, but we almost made it to an hour and a half. We covered a lot this weekend, or this week on the stream, and we sent out the newsletter today, so all good stuff, moving in the right direction. We will be live tomorrow at 8:45. I'll be on time Fingers crossed. Don't hold your breath. We'll see what we got. But wishing you all a wonderful weekend. Safe. Try to put a smile on your face. Enjoy. Relax. And we'll regroup on this tomorrow. Maybe we'll go to Tribeca or something. Something fun. Oh, you know what? We'll go to Little Italy for the San Gennaro's feast. I don't want to miss it this year. I haven't been this year at all. Hey, Leanne, what's up? All right, everyone. Take care. RB, Richard, Fun Feeds, Layda, Leanne, Stephen D, Carla, Mark Francis, Tatted T, Michelle Henry, Mohammed, Data Discovery, Stephen, Rodrigo, Western Mass Dave. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. See you tomorrow.